and welcome back to another video. In today's episode we're not going to be making anything, instead we're going to be doing a Q&A. So let's get going. Okay, so I'm probably not going to get through all of the questions as there's about 30 or 40 here, so we'll get through as many as I can. I've written them all down on the iPad and taken screenshots, so let's get going. So firstly, the first question I got was, what is the worst wood I've had to work with? Now, that's quite a difficult one for me to answer. I would probably have to say Purple Heart, but that was probably down to my skill more than anything. Because now I quite enjoy using Purple Heart in my projects. It looks great, but I do still find it fairly difficult to work with. So I'm probably going to have to put that as the worst wood to work with. So then we had a couple of other questions. So what first got me into woodworking? Now, I've always liked creating things, making things, mucking about with stuff, building stuff, breaking things. I've just generally liked making things, to be honest, and I think it was just an evolution of that, if I'm being honest, as once I just got my 7 by 5 foot shed, which is absolutely tiny, as I'm sure you can imagine, yeah, it just kind of progressed from there, and I just started making things, and then I thought, maybe let's try some wood in this, see if I like it, and it just sort of grew from there, and I've just carried on making things ever since, really. Then I've got another question here, which is, do I plan on upgrading my lathe in the future? Yes, I do. Maybe next year, it depends, because at the moment I would say I'm probably about 3/4 of the max capacity of that lathe, so until I actually start making projects that are going to outgrow that lathe, I'm not going to invest in a bigger one yet. Now, a couple of things I really like about that lathe: it's fairly small, which is good because it doesn't take up a load of space, easy to use, and I just love the look of it. So if I do upgrade, I'll probably still hold on to that lathe, as I think it's a great lathe and would be good for doing things like pens or smaller spindle projects and things like that. Next question, what made me want to start my YouTube channel? I love this question, this is a great question. So the reason for me wanting to start a YouTube channel was mainly 2 reasons. Firstly, I wanted to show other people what I was making and that anyone can have a go at woodworking. It doesn't matter your age or any skill sets you can do it with, and I just wanted to show people that, yeah, you can do woodworking if you want to. And the other reason was so I had almost like a portfolio of everything I've made. And I just love that I can look back from a year ago and go, oh wow, this is what I was making a year ago, now look at where I am now. And I can actually go back and watch those videos and see how my progress evolved and what I actually properly started with. And I just love being able to look back on those videos. I love all the community spirit, so talking to other woodworkers, communicating on things like that, collaborating, all those kind of things are great. So that's probably the main 2 reasons why I started a YouTube channel. I just really wanted to get involved and show other people what I'm making and just have a good time with it, really. Any exciting projects coming up? Yes, I've got quite a lot of exciting projects coming up. Firstly, I'm working on the longboard, which is currently sitting out in the sun just there. I'm also working on a tazza, which is, if you don't know, is sort of some Italian cup. I need to do a bit more research onto what it actually is, but I know the form I'm going with. That's for the water competition, which will be released in a week or so, probably, if I get around to turning it tomorrow. Yeah, the Tazza, I've got the longboard coming up. I've got some bigger projects. I've got a machinery workbench going on that back wall, and that's going to be a very big project. That's going to probably take me best part of a week, and it's also going to be probably one of the biggest projects I've ever made, so I think that would be a pretty cool video, and those I would say are 3 pretty exciting projects in my eyes that are coming up. However, I've got all of the standard other videos coming up. I've got more tool stuff, machinery building things. I've got quite a lot coming up still. Now, sorry about all of the noise. It is a Saturday, so people are busy, people are cutting trees down. People are very busy today. Let's have a look. Other questions. How did I afford all of my tools? Have you sold stuff and made the money, or have family? So, this is quite an interesting question in my opinion, and I'll be honest with you, so most of my tools have actually been given to me. So for example, the bandsaw here and most of the tools on the tool wall have been given to me. So the majority of my tools have actually been gifted to me. The things that haven't are my lathe, my sander and my bench grinder and the Dremel. To be honest, most of my tools have actually been given to me, which I'm in a very fortunate position where people will look for old tools that they have, and luckily I get given them, which is amazing. And more than anything, I really like using old tools, and that's a question I had, so I'll get around to that later. But most of my tools are given to me, which is where I get most of the money from, because I don't have to then spend money on those big expensive bits of machinery like the bandsaw. And I was saving for a while, so I've been saving birthday money, Christmas money. I don't really try and spend that money on things unless they're for the workshop, so that's where I get most of the money from. I get some money from Woodturners Blend and things like that. I also do have a job which also gets me a little bit of money as well. So that's basically where everything sort of comes from. Do I have any tools I'm saving for / want to get next? Yes, I do. I want a miter saw, and I'm probably going to end up either getting a Bosch Professional one, which is about £300, which is incredibly expensive. I really like the look of it though. And I did ask you guys what you thought, and you recommended the Evolution one. So I did a lot of research into the Evolution one, but decided it wasn't quite going to work for me. I wanted something with a little bit more, I guess, trade quality. The Evolution one's got good reviews, however people said they were sometimes could be quite inaccurate with the laser guide and could be inaccurate with the fence and things like that. So I decided I'm just going to go with a brand that I love, and yes, it's going to be about £120 more than I wanted to spend. However, sometimes you've got to spend a little bit more to get a better quality tool. And after all, it's hopefully going to last me a lifetime. Another tool I really want to get at the moment is a scroll saw, and very kindly someone reached out to me on Instagram and has managed to get me a lovely old scroll saw. It's a Firm, I believe, something like that. Firm, I'm not sure on the actual brand name. But yeah, hopefully I should get that after lockdown's eased and we're allowed to travel again. It's got quite a lot of rust on the surface of the table, but I think that'll be a really cool project video to make, and I think it should be really cool to see the progress on that. So they're the two tools that I particularly want to get at the moment, and I would also quite like to get another drill because I've only got one drill, and I do find when I'm doing big projects such as the workbenches, having one drill can get very annoying because I've got to constantly switch out the bits. It's fine when the builders are here because they're letting me use their tools, however, when they go, I'm not going to have all their tools to use. Couple of other questions, let's have a look. What piece am I most proud of? I would probably have to go with my cherry bowl, would have to be one of them. If you haven't seen that video, I'll drop it down below. That was my first ever bowl I ever made. And I would say, I'm quite proud of the lathe bench I made. I think that was quite a cool little project. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm particularly proud of. I would say some of the boxes I've made I'm pretty happy with as well. So it's mostly the two boxes I made, the first bowl I ever made, which was the cherry bowl, and yeah, the lathe bench. I'd probably put those. I do also quite like the Union Jack. I struggle to pick a favourite piece. I find it quite hard just to narrow down to one piece that I'm particularly proud of. I would probably put it on a more broad range of a lot of pieces that I'm proud of, so sorry, that's probably not quite the answer you were looking for. What do you feel is your limit in terms of woodworking? Skill, ability and confidence. I think a lot of it is obviously going to be skill. Confidence sometimes, although I do like to push myself, and if I find that I haven't got the confidence to make a project, then I'll look at other ways to get around it. So I wouldn't put confidence necessarily as a limit. I would probably say at the moment it's down to skill. I just need to practice more, learn the techniques. Something I really want to do is dovetailing, but I keep putting that off because I feel like I don't have the skills to do that yet. However, I am going to start doing it. I've said I'm going to start doing it for about 6 months now. I'm not going to let myself not do it anymore, so hopefully I'll do that in the Easter. So probably sometime around mid-April, something like that. So I'm definitely going to be doing dovetailed boxes. How has your process changed now with a larger shop? I think if you look behind me, you can see how my process has changed, to be honest. I've got a lot more space here, so I've got the shelves up there, somewhere over there. I've got bandsaw, tool wall, and more of these sort of decorative pieces. So I guess with a bigger shop, I've just spread out a bit more and allowed myself to have more room to do bigger projects. So my process probably hasn't changed that much. I'm still trying to stay on top of all my organisation and keep things really organised and take up as little space as they need to. So for example, the shelf is probably one of the best projects I've made in terms of its functionality. It stores everything I want it on it, especially the screws. I think that's just a brilliant way to store them, and it fits all of those boxes perfectly. So I'd probably say my process has just become a bit more refined, and I guess I've expanded, I guess is the best way to describe it. So one other question I got was, do I enjoy using a new tool or refurbishing an old tool? Now I'm going to have to put that at a 50-50. I probably would say if I had to choose, I probably like using older tools more. For example, my bandsaw, which is behind me there, that's about 40 years old, 30, 40 years old, and I absolutely love using that. The same with my vintage plane. I love using old tools, however, I love the simplicity and ease of using a modern tool. So hopefully that gives you some kind of idea of what I like to use. Who influences me the most? That's a difficult question. There's people in my family who I'd say influence me a lot, and I'd also say YouTubers. I think there's quite a lot of YouTubers who heavily influence me as well. I think it's quite hard to pinpoint exact names, as I'd say I'm influenced by a very, very large array of people, so I think that's quite difficult to narrow down exactly on that. Sorry about all the wind out there. It's decided to be a really windy day today, which of course would just be a great day to decide to film this video. Oh well. Right, would I like to collaborate with another woodworker? 100% yes. There's a couple of woodworkers I've got in mind who I'd love to collaborate with, but obviously lockdown at the moment makes it impossible. But once lockdown eases, I'm going to try and reach out to a couple of woodworkers who I'd love to collaborate with. I'm not going to name any names at the moment because I don't want to put people under pressure or make it seem like I'm trying to target specific people who I want to collaborate with. So when I get some more news on stuff like that, I'll tell you about it in another video. Any plan to try dovetailing? Yes, I'm going to do that in April, mid-April. And I have actually got the bits of beech to do it. I've got a dovetail marker, I've got chisels. They're not amazing chisels, but they'll be sharp enough for this. So yes, I will. Will I post on my Woodturners Blend YouTube channel? Yes, I'm going to do that. I need to do a promotion video for that. Ideally, I would like the person who asked the question to come around and help me with it. However, lockdown obviously can't do that at the moment. So once lockdown sort of eases, hopefully I'll be able to film a promotion video for that, and then we can get some videos posted on there. So yeah, I'm going to be posting to Woodturners Blend at some point. What made me want to start my YouTube channel? I answered that, I believe, so that's fine. Any exciting projects coming up? I answered that one as well. Answered that one. Other hobbies and interests. I like playing guitar, piano, cycling. What else do I do? Editing. I like editing my YouTube videos. I like doing YouTube, guitar, piano, cycling. Hoping to start to get into a bit of longboarding and things like that. I like playing hockey. I like doing quite a lot of things, but woodworking obviously is the main thing. My favourite shop project, it's got to go to the lathe cart. What's the most complex thing I've turned so far? Probably the clock, pedestal clock. That was pretty challenging. However, the Tazza that I'm about to make is going to beat that in terms of its challenging aspects because I've not done anything of that scale before. Do I want to expand my business later with more than just Woodturners Blend? Yes, I do plan on putting some Easter eggs and things, hand wood-turned Easter eggs onto my Etsy site. And I do plan on expanding design and make as a business as well. It's just time, and that's something that I don't have a lot of at the moment. But yeah, I do plan on expanding. If I could walk into Axminster Tools and pick any 5 things, what would I pick? Probably should have thought about this one a bit more before I started the video. I'd probably say a bigger lathe would definitely be lovely. A bigger lathe, I wouldn't mind a really nice set of chisels. I asked the person who sent me this question whether there was a specific price point or whether it was tools I already had, and they said if price was no object. So I'd probably go, yeah, a bigger lathe, some really nice chisels, probably a really decent set of drills I'd really like. And that's 3 things. It's quite hard, this actually. Air compressor. I'd quite like a really good air compressor and a metal lathe. I really want a metal engineering lathe. I might eventually get a metal engineering lathe, as that's something I particularly would like, but I feel it's a bit unnecessary. I don't particularly need one, but I think they look awesome and they're fun to mess about with. How old am I? I'm going to be 17 in about a week's time, so there you go. That's that question. So yeah, 17 in a few weeks' time. What are my biggest challenges? Do I see them as challenges? Biggest challenges, probably skill sets can be quite a big challenge, I guess, when I've got to overcome a skill that I don't have or learn something new. Quite a difficult question. I think all of my projects have been challenging in certain aspects. The clock was hugely challenging. And do I see them as a challenge? I would say I see them as little individual problems more than one big challenge. And I know that sounds a bit cliche, but I would say I probably split them down into little problems. So for example, with the clock, lots of things went wrong with that, so I just decided to break it down into little bits and work on each bit. Do I sell any of my work? I mean, I sell Woodturners Blend, but no, not currently. However, April, well, it'll be before April, it'll be in next week hopefully, I'm going to start selling some Easter eggs. However, depending on timescales, as I'm working on a project that I can't speak about at the moment, well, it's not sort of a project, but you'll find out about that hopefully in about half a month's time. I can't say anything about that at the moment, but that's probably going to mean I might not get the Etsy site started in April, so I probably won't get Easter eggs for then. I might get some Easter eggs made for Greek Easter though, as I know they also have Easter eggs. But yeah, I'm working on a really cool thing that I can't say anything about yet. When it all goes ahead and I'm able to tell you about it, it's going to be really cool. That's that question. Right, that's all the questions. So hopefully that gave you a bit more of an insight into design and make and wood turners blend and all of those sort of things. I really enjoyed answering all those questions. There were definitely some quirky ones in there and some really awesome ones to answer. If you guys have any more questions, or if I for some reason missed out on one of your questions by any chance, then pop them down below. I don't know if I got through all the questions. I believe I did. And there weren't quite as many as I thought because I'd taken screenshots, so some of the screenshots had overlapped. But overall, yeah, I really enjoyed answering those questions, and hopefully that's helped you guys understand a bit more of what I like to do and a bit more about me, I guess. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for next week's video, which will be turning the Tazza. Thank you for watching.